You guys ever get a shop tool that's pretty simple and you're not quite sure why you didn't have it before? It's made your life a lot easier now and you're kicking yourself for the fact that you didn't have it like years ago. How many coats of paint is enough coats of paint? All right, guys, welcome to episode 95 of In the Shop with CustomLowZ. In today's episode, we got a couple great topics to discuss, and we're also going to be showing you off this 418s enclosure as well as doing a small shop update.
So I get questioned kind of frequently when I'm painting things, clear coating things, or any of the sort. How many coats do you use? Now that's all going to depend on the project. Obviously these are wood projects, so you're going to require a couple more coats because really the wood is going to soak up the first coat, the second coat possibly, and sometimes even into the third coat you're going to have areas where it's still seeping into the wood you have. So the best answer I can give honestly is probably minimum of 3 when it comes to primer if you're looking to get a super smooth surface. Clear coat, I would say 3 as well, just for having a thick enough buildup. The first coat you're going to spray is really going to cover in the pores of your wood on the clear coat, and second coat is going to kind of fill them in a little more. Third coat, if you've been spraying decently heavy, you should be good, and it should be nice and flat by the time you ended up sanding that first and second coat. Always sand in between coats. This box right here is a box for 2 X or ZV5 15s. You guys get the gist on the whole sub box thing. Got plexiglass windows in here. This thing is going to look really awesome. As you can see around the enclosure, I definitely got some body work I need to do. This thing definitely isn't to where I want it yet. Few imperfections, small little pinholes like you can see there, or even around the sub mounting perimeter. You can kind of see those areas right there. I want to make sure all of that is gone. Like I said, I try to do things to a different standard, so small little pinholes and stuff like that. The outside of this enclosure is getting painted gloss black, which is a highly demanding color. If anyone's ever painted anything, you know gloss black is not an easy color to do. Even in a vehicle, gloss black is a very hard paint job to do because it'll show all the imperfections. You're going to see the hills and the valleys, so when you're sanding things, you want to make sure you sand flat with the block. Obviously on your contours, you cannot sand flatly with the block, but always hand sand. During this stage of the enclosure, I wouldn't even dare touch this thing with a power sander, even with a low grit, because it's just spinning so fast. You really can't control high and low marks, especially when you're 2 coats of primer in. You don't want to start eating down to the wood anywhere if you can avoid it. The inside of this thing is gloss white as well. If you guys have seen the previous video, have seen that paint job, I mean, it came out phenomenally. So trying to make sure I come back just as hard with the outside and do gloss black. Around the perimeter of the windows, I got some lines to fill in there, just where the plies came together and the paint kind of keeps seeping in. Like I said, with this bare wood, it's going to soak and soak and soak. I know the last video I posted on the clear coat, someone suggested something like a pre-paint solution that you could put on it so it actually won't soak up as much of the of what you're spraying on it. I'm gonna have to try that out before I really recommend it, but I'm sure there's products out there. Maybe you guys even know something. If you do, recommend it in the comments below. But again, like I said, I'm using Rust-Oleum for this right here. This is Rust-Oleum clean metal primer. Yes, it is wood, but I buy the clean metal primer because it comes in a flat white, which I like to use for a primer. It also comes in a quart size can, which is not too big for a single box, and I don't have to worry about paint sitting around a long time because I don't do a lot of painting. So this box right here is one I've been working on for the last day or two. It is 2 DC Lvl 518s ported box. As you can see, we got the big ass ports, adjustable Aero ports. We're doing 3 8-inch ports on the front here. Got the 3 plexiglass windows. We're gonna do LED lights on the inside, bare wood inside, but a stain finish on the outside. So it's kind of a more simple enclosure, but it's still gonna look really awesome. Already, I mean, this thing looks killer. I had to put it together for a dry fit. Everything's just sitting together. I got kind of the side walls even taped together, but man, this thing is looking really good. Right here I'm using 13 ply Baltic birch. As far as specs on the enclosure, I'll have to pull out the spec sheet, but the window bracing came out phenomenally. looks really, really good. Want to make sure, because we're doing single walls on the outside, the customer did have some size constraints, so kind of limited on what you can do as far as doing double side walls. Now, double side walls is great for strength, but if it starts to sacrifice too much area inside the enclosure, you're probably better off going with a different solution.
Because as you see on this enclosure, it is all single wall minus the baffle. Now I do believe you always need a strong baffle, and that's just for mounting the subs. The DC Lvl5s, they're not light subs by any means, so you want to make sure you have a strong baffle to hold those in. All the window bracing is just to be bracing the side walls, back walls, top wall, bottom wall, front wall. Basically 360 bracing throughout the whole enclosure. Like I did say, we are using 3 8-inch big ass ports, adjustable Aero ports. Those are going to be going in the front. This is going in an SUV, subs up, ports back. It's 48 inches wide, so this box right here is going to be something that's going to fit only in the bigger SUVs like Denali's or Yukons, Tahoes. I think even like my Toyota Sequoia had a 48 inch wheelbase width, but not a lot of SUVs had that. Even some of the bigger like Trailblazers, which are bigger than mid-sizes, they're not going to have a 48 inch wheelbase width. So this right here, this is a big boy. This is going to be for the bigger vehicles. Maybe if you had like a crew cab truck and you took out your back seats, maybe you'd fit in there. But I think with the depth on it alone, you'd be kind of screwed there.
So as far as specs goes on this thing is 22 inches high, 48 inches wide, and 32 inches deep. Like I said, this is definitely a big enclosure. 2 DC Audio Level 518s. It's got the 3 8-inch big ass ports adjustable Aeros, which is going to tune it to 31.4, basically call it 32 hertz by the time it's all said and done. It's got 13.61 cubic feet after all displacement. Definitely the right size enclosure for these things. You need a lot of space. I'd say probably 7-ish, 6.5, 7-ish cubes for these subs. I would say they need personally, with the 3 big ass ports in the front. Definitely gonna be a super solid, super loud enclosure.
So if you guys seen a lot of my videos before, you see I do a lot of router work. This is one of those tools that I wish I had. Don't know why I didn't have it, and really I'm kind of kicking myself for the fact I didn't have. It's a tool that I've used even 1,000 times before, but with router bits, I'm sure you guys have seen, there's so many different options, different sizes, different shank sizes, different profiles, flute counts, spiral, straight shaft. It kind of goes on and on and on. Now I've recently been trying to research different straight cut spiral bits for cutting the holes out in the sub baffle. I've been going through a couple different ones of those. I've tried the 12 volt tool brand ones. I've tried the Diablo ones. I actually ran with the Diablo ones for years, to be honest. I mean, I've bought 100 of them easily. Now recently I did actually have, oh, there's Whiskers. I did actually have an issue with those ones, and I emailed Diablo and they were cool enough to send me back 5 brand new ones to replace the ones I had just recently purchased, which you can't beat that. But I still really feel like they shouldn't be breaking. I'm not hitting nails. I know how to use a router. I know how to adjust my feed rate and my speed on my router to kind of control that kind of stuff, but it seemed like no matter what I did, that didn't really help. Like I said, I've kind of been searching for bits. One bit I use a lot is a flush trim bit. If you've been building boxes or you've built any boxes, even something like this, you're usually going to make a template, or you have a template already. You're going to put it on your box. You're maybe going to, and what I've always done is jigsawed it out, rough cut it so that there was only a little bit of material left to kind of get it perfect, and then I would use my template to finish it off and kind of create the perfect shape. But I've always used a bigger flush trim bit, always 1/2 inch shank. Now I'm from a carpentry background. We use flush trim bits in carpentry, like even in the cabinet shops you use flush trim bits, but they're always 1/2 inch shank. I really didn't question why. I kind of just always stuck with 1/2 inch shank. Recently I have discovered these, showing you the wrong side, these white side spiral flush trim bits. Like, I put this in my router and I cut the first piece and I was like, what have I been doing this entire time? This thing cuts better than any straight cut bit I've ever had. I have had the 12-volt tool ones. I've had other white side ones. I've had straight shaft, or I've had half-inch shank spiral cut bits that didn't cut this good. I think really honestly, I was kind of intimidated by these and I didn't think they would work very good. I've even seen other builders use them, but I see a lot of people, when I've seen people use these, it's always an MDF. So I kind of figured plywood, probably a little too dense for it, and might end up breaking my bit, which I really didn't want to have to risk. Breaking bits sucks, and it's also dangerous when you're in the middle of the cut. The router's spinning at, I don't know, 6,000 something plus RPMs, probably even faster than that. Piece of metal comes breaking off of there and spinning off. It's not a safe situation, so I kind of always avoided them, but honestly, oh, just dropped it on the ground. Go get one, go get 5. I picked one up. This is like my new flush trim bit. I've already used it for a couple days. I actually did this whole box with it. Now, I was able to avoid my whole middle step of using the jigsaw to kind of rough cut out my shape before I went in there. And it had less chatter, less resistance, less heat, all of the above. Even the dust spit out was like substantially decreased. I mean, it's obvious it's a smaller diameter bit, it's cutting less material, has less friction on the router, but for some reason certain things don't dawn on you until you actually experience it for yourself. That was definitely one of those things. I have many other tools. If you guys have a tool like that, drop it in the comments below. I really want to hear what tool you guys have recently purchased or purchased ever that in your memory that like you bought it and instantly said, why the hell haven't I had this forever, basically. Because yeah, that's one of them. I have many more of them. I'll keep sharing them along the way as I get them, but hopefully you guys like this episode. This enclosure is coming along really nicely. As you see, the primer over there, right there, a lot of work on that thing. Like I said, gloss black, very demanding color, but thank you guys for watching this episode. If you're not already subscribed to this channel, make sure you subscribe now. Drop me a comment below if you've made it this far in this video. Thank you so much for being a dedicated viewer of these videos. They take time to make, and I really appreciate anyone who watches them this far along. So if you've made it this far in the video, make sure you comment down 1728 below. Now, if you don't know what 1728 is, it is like the golden number to figure out cubic feet, Jesus. Length by width by height divided by 1728 will give you your cubic feet. So comment 1728 in the comments below. Let me know if you're actually watching it this far, and if you are, I appreciate you greatly. So I'll see you guys on the next episode of In the Shop with Custom Lows. Hopefully you learned something, and I'm out of here.